Hello, magnificent human beings. My name is Landon Slaughter, and here we do yoga. We talk about life. We focus on personal growth. Yes, that's exactly what we're doing today because we're going to learn about standing forehead to knee. This is a very difficult pose. I have troubles with it myself, and I love it all at the same time because it's one of those things where it incorporates so many aspects of other postures into one, and it takes a lot of strength, takes a lot of flexibility, all of these things. So I'm excited to explore this posture with you today. So if you would like to learn more about standing forehead to knee, some cool ways to modify, then this is the short segment for you. Please roll out your mat, and I will roll the intro screen. Looking at standing forehead to knee, there are a lot of ways to modify. So I'm going to go over a few ways to modify, and then I'm going to come into more of the full expression down the road. The first thing is do not try this pose if you are not fully warmed up. I record lots of my stuff here all in one batch, so I've done a couple of classes thus far and feel I'm decently loose enough to try to get into this posture. So do not come into this pose cold. You definitely want to explore this maybe after a full yoga class, or obviously in the middle during the standing series when you eventually get to standing forehead to knee. So let's find our balance on our left leg, and then simply bring your right knee on up and interlace your fingers underneath your knee. Just hold them here. So this is an excellent first way to modify in standing forehead to knee. Now, we want to keep kind of some of the good principles of this pose, right? Shoulders roll back and then really absorb the weight of this leg into your arms. So that's the difficult part, right? Is when you're standing and you're holding and absorbing the weight of your leg into your arms, is that it changes the balance. And this is kind of a good thing because you want to be versatile in your balance. And holding this leg will do that. It kind of tricks things because usually you want to have this leg nice and strong and engaged, but instead we have it nice and loose. Shoulders roll back, holding. And why do we do this? Well, we do it because having this leg nice and loose really allows us to have a better extension of our leg whenever we extend it on out. So just if I hold my leg nice and strong and I try to extend it, it can't come out naturally quite as far. But if my leg is loose, it's much easier to get that full extension out. And that's something to keep in mind when you're in your full standing forehead to knee, is that you're holding on to that standing leg, but you don't want to engage it. You want it to be relatively loose so you can get that full extension, that full length. So holding here, extending it on out. So this is a great practice, right? Is absorbing the weight of that leg, trying to keep this leg as loose as possible. And naturally you'll have to engage it just a little bit as you extend it on out. But you don't want to do it, too much, because if you really flex your leg, it won't go very far. So keeping a loose leg as you extend it on out. Perfect. Setting that down. So same thing, just exploring the other side, holding this leg up and just relaxing here. And a lot of folks will have issues just kind of balancing on that one leg to start. So just staying here, focused, breathe. Setting it on down. So that's kind of the first option in your standing forehead to knee. When the teacher gets to this pose, that's definitely an option for you to be able to modify. Next would be bringing your knee on up and then grabbing here at the top of your shin, kind of almost squeezing that knee and holding the top of your knee. Because this is step one, this is step two, this is step three, right? So just kind of exploring each one of these elements. So in this next version, holding your knee, and then really holding strong arms, and then just practice kind of coming over and just keeping as best of a flat back as you can, and really hugging that knee in almost. So it's not hugging in, it's kind of lowering your torso out to meet that leg, right? Still trying to keep a flat back as best as you can. Then, eventually, some folks can hold here, and if you have really long arms, you can grab for this foot and then extend on out. But for the majority of folks, we will have to kind of come into that step one of leaning over just a little bit. Step two is grabbing for that foot. Now here is a sort of cardinal sin that people make in standing forehead to knee, is that they really tax their low back a lot coming into this posture, because they're doing everything they can to just hold on to that foot, and then by proxy they're really putting strain in that low back. So to prevent this, there's a few things you can do to kind of help take off the load a little bit. Your standing leg, you want to engage your standing leg, you want to engage your core, and you also want to just keep really thinking about keeping that low back, your whole back, as straight as you can make it. So naturally it's going to round a little bit, but you don't want it to hunch over, you know? So you're holding here, and then extending that leg on out. And this is really important because putting strain in that low back is never a good idea, but it kind of keeps you conscious of the whole process of not, really getting too far ahead of yourself and trying to cheat yourself out of the pose. So you're holding here, tilting over that leg just a little bit, coming on out. And then once you get to a decent, 90-degree angle here, then that's when you very slowly start to explore bringing that forehead to your knee. And this has a lot to do with your leg strength, your core strength, and then how loose also kind of your hamstrings are too, right? Because if they're not that loose, then you're going to start to really put some tension on that low back. So from here to there is a long journey. So the full expression of the pose takes a lot of balance and strength. So it's a, gentle journey each step of the way, holding here and then torso on that thigh, gently extending things out, keeping that straight back as best as you can. It's going to curve, but don't let it curve too much, right? And then slowly breathe. See, you get ahead of yourself, you start to fall out. So it's a journey. It's a challenge, I know. So just stay with it. Setting it on down. So for some folks who are really flexible, bringing your knee to your forehead is actually probably too short. You may be able to bring your forehead even farther down to the middle of your shin in some cases. I am not there, but it is definitely something that happens as you become more flexible in your practice. So thank you so much for joining me in looking at standing forehead to knee. Many aspects to this pose, right? So don't beat yourself up. Just practice is, I feel, the best thing. Thank all of you for being here, and from my heart to yours, namaste.